Some of the challenges of filming with a baby.
What was some of the challenges of filming with a baby? I'm not gonna even front like, we have a great nanny. And I mean, whenever I can pry him away from you, it's been pretty much a breeze for me.
I'd say.
Yeah. I probably changed 2 diapers.
I was just
in a
gonna
year.
say probably about 2,
Yeah.
maybe 3, maybe.
A couple of PPs, about 1 booby. I think I'm at my limit.
Yeah,
Yeah.
did good.
Didn't get on this time.
I did.
Yeah.
Ashanti just got exposed in the middle of a cheating scandal, but instead of support, Kelly Rowland posted a message so shady, fans are calling it straight-up revenge. What if I told you? This drama has been brewing for over 20 years. Before the internet could even catch its breath, Kelly Rowland had already stirred the pot. As whispers began swirling about Ashanti possibly being caught in Nelly's latest cheating debacle, Kelly swooped in with a cryptic post that fans wasted no time calling shady and oddly timed. The digital streets lit up with theories. Was Kelly throwing shade, or was she finally speaking her truth? As rumors began circulating that Nelly had once again strayed, this time, allegedly with someone from within his own inner circle, Ashanti found herself squarely back in the tabloid crosshairs. And just when she could have used a show of support, Kelly Rowland appeared on the scene with what many interpreted as a perfectly timed, barely disguised jab. Her social media lit up with radiant photos celebrating her husband, Tim Weatherspoon, and their solid, decade-long marriage. While the posts could have been dismissed as harmless affection, the timing felt surgical. The internet didn't miss the tone or the intent. This wasn't a random hashtag, TBT, or an anniversary post. It felt like a deliberate flex. The kind that whispers, couldn't be me, while the world watches someone else's love life fall apart. And this is where the drama thickens. Behind that smile and glowing filter, the digital shade was casting long shadows. Insiders began pointing out that Kelly and Ashanti haven't exactly shared warm vibes for years, while neither has ever publicly addressed any tension. Industry whispers suggest a long-brewing undercurrent of resentment, rivalry, and unspoken beef. According to a few sources close to the scene, Kelly's grudge may go back decades, quiet but persistent, buried under public politeness and award show smiles. And with Ashanti's relationship with Nelly on the rocks, some believe Kelly saw the moment as poetic justice, a chance to finally let her feelings surface without ever saying a word. Digging deeper into the history, fans began to connect dots that, at first, seemed far apart. One theory, widely circulated on social media, is that Ashanti always felt a low-key sense of insecurity during the early days of her romance with Nelly. And it wasn't unwarranted. Long before Ashanti came into the picture, Nelly and Kelly had what many believed was electric, undeniable chemistry. From their chart-topping collaboration Dilemma to their effortless interviews and red carpet appearances, there was an ease between them, one that often bordered on flirtatious. They may have denied any romantic involvement, calling each other just friends, but fans weren't buying it. The body language, the playful smiles, the inside jokes, something was there. Something real, something unresolved. So when Ashanti entered Nelly's life and eventually became his leading lady, some say she always looked over her shoulder, knowing that Kelly had once held a place in Nelly's orbit that was never fully explained or fully relinquished. And that's what makes Kelly's recent actions feel so pointed. The jabs weren't loud or confrontational, but they carried weight. They hit differently. People began asking whether this was just a moment of casual pettiness or something far more personal. Was Kelly simply shading a woman caught up in a cheating scandal? Or was she using the situation as a mirror to reflect back years of silent animosity? Let's be clear, Kelly Rowland has rarely been one to make a spectacle of herself. Known for her grace, privacy, and poised public image, she's long avoided unnecessary drama. That's what made this moment stand out. Instead of her usual, low-profile posts about motherhood, music, or motivational quotes, her social media took a sharp turn, suddenly filled with throwback images of her wedding day, curated snapshots of wedded bliss, and captions that seemed to subtly dig at anyone not living in a similarly stable romantic paradise. Coming from anyone else, these posts might have been scrolled past without thought. But from Kelly, who rarely overshares, the intention felt louder than the caption. She wasn't just celebrating her love, she was contrasting it. And fans, ever vigilant, didn't miss a beat. They started dissecting everything: the choice of photos, the exact wording in her captions, the the timing relative to Nelly and Ashanti's headlines. Many interpreted her happiness as less about her husband, and more about not being in Ashanti's shoes. One post in particular, a photo of her and Tim holding hands under golden sunlight, was accompanied by the caption, "Grateful for peace, loyalty, and laughter. Every single day." That might sound benign to the casual eye, but to fans tuned into the gossip, it felt like a subtle uppercut. In a week where Ashanti was reportedly betrayed, exhausted, and alone, those words felt like a dig cloaked in elegance. What's also interesting is the cultural shift we're seeing in how women express rivalry. Gone are the days of direct clapback and diss tracks. The modern form of shade, especially among celebrities, is often quiet, coded, and delivered through carefully curated content. Kelly didn't need to say Ashanti's name to say plenty. In fact, the very lack of mention made it more cutting. She let the contrast do all the work. Adding more fuel to the fire is the backstory. Many fans can't seem to forget Kelly and Nelly's alleged past. Though they never confirmed a relationship, the passion in their Dilemma music video, the warmth in their behind-the-scenes interactions, and the rumors of them being a thing in the early 2000s created a mythos that never fully faded. When Ashanti entered the picture, the public narrative shifted, but the whispers remained. Some longtime fans still speculate that Ashanti came in at a time when Kelly and Nelly were either involved or had unresolved tension. If there's any truth to that timeline, then Kelly's current social media moves aren't random, they're closure, they're calm, collected revenge. And in this season of truth-telling, Kelly Rowland seems to be embracing a new energy, what fans are calling her petty boots era. It's not about dragging someone online or causing a scene. It's about watching someone who once replaced you now struggle with the same partner who couldn't be consistent for you either. It's about knowing you dodged a bullet and letting the world see what stability actually looks like without ever having to say, "I told you so." In the end, Kelly's silence might be louder than any statement she could make. Her choice to stay above the fray while simultaneously reminding the world of what a respectful, loving relationship looks like isn't just shade, it's strategy. And as Ashanti grapples with a turbulent relationship, solo parenting duties, and a public unraveling of her fairy tale, Kelly doesn't have to lift a finger to make her point. She's already won. Fans were quick to put two and two together. It wasn't just about celebrating her love, it looked like a statement, perhaps aimed directly at Ashanti's unraveling love story. Even though Kelly's never named names, the vibe of her posts, the captions, the timing, the energy was hard to ignore. As Ashanti navigated one public blow after another, the message from Kelly seemed clear: this could never be me. Ashanti, likely blindsided, may be wondering what prompted such shade. And fans are now asking, what's really the history between these two? Because if Kelly is this comfortable throwing public darts, what happened behind the curtain may be much messier than anyone realized. And here's where it gets even more interesting. Some believe this all ties back to Kelly's alleged past with Nelly. Rewind to 2001, when Destiny's Child was in its prime. Kelly and Nelly met during the MTV Total Request Live tour, and not long after, they teamed up for the iconic hit Dilemma. The chemistry in that song wasn't just musical, it was magnetic. Their connection lit up the charts and won them a Grammy, but it also sparked widespread speculation. Although their public image always stayed polished and professional, Kelly Rowland's praise for Nelly in the early 2000s did more than just hype a collaboration. It sparked a cultural curiosity that's never quite gone away. Back then, the music world was buzzing over their hit single Dilemma, which became one of the most iconic duets of the decade. The song topped charts, won awards, and became a timeless anthem of complicated love. But what captured even more attention than the music itself was the undeniable chemistry between the two artists. On camera, they glowed together. Off camera, the energy didn't fade. Interviews showed a playful ease between Kelly and Nelly that left fans wondering if there was more happening behind the scenes. Kelly frequently gushed about how fun it was working with Nelly, emphasizing how natural their creative connection felt. It was the kind of praise that felt layered, not just about hooks and harmonies, but about a bond that seemed personal. To the public, it wasn't just about the music hit, it was about the moment, and the magnetic pull between two artists who never quite said what everyone was thinking. Then came 2011, nearly a decade later, when the duo reunited for a follow-up track titled Gone. It was meant to be a spiritual sequel to Dilemma, and it didn't disappoint. The music video turned heads immediately. Unlike many second-chance collaborations that feel forced or hollow, this one reignited the exact same spark. If not a more mature, intensified version of it. On screen, Kelly and Nelly moved like two people who knew each other well, who had history, who shared an intimacy that couldn't be faked. The video was dripping with sensuality, eye contact, and tension. It was so believable that fans and media alike began resurfacing old rumors. Were these two quietly involved all along? Did Gone signal something deeper than a duet? Whispers circulated. Again, blogs reignited timelines. Fans dissected every gesture, every lyric. Even their body language was scrutinized. Had they ever really just been friends? And if so, why did their interactions feel so layered with meaning? Eventually, Kelly responded to the speculation, trying to put it to rest. She insisted that Nelly had always been like a big brother, a longtime family friend who had been close with Destiny's Child for years. It was the kind of answer that aimed to shut down gossip with grace. But the reaction from fans was mixed. Many appreciated her professionalism, but others remained skeptical. After all, the dynamic they had presented to the world twice, over to different eras, was hard to ignore. Even with her denial, the impression lingered. To this day, some fans hold on to the idea that Kelly and Nelly's story had more chapters than we were ever told. Whether it was a fleeting romance, a deep emotional connection, or a classic case of almost but never, it left its mark on pop culture. Their chemistry became one of those enduring what-ifs, a mythos quietly preserved in the minds of fans who watched it all unfold in real time. Meanwhile, Kelly Rowland moved on with remarkable clarity. In 2014, she married her longtime manager and confidant, Tim Weatherspoon. The ceremony was intimate, elegant, and far removed from the glare of industry gossip. Since then, she's built a life that embodies stability, privacy, and grounded joy. With 2 sons, a strong marriage, and a career that has matured gracefully from pop icon to respected entertainer, Kelly has cultivated a drama-free zone that reflects her growth. She has consistently chosen balance over buzz, integrity over headlines. Nelly, on the other hand, took a different path, one more entangled in public romance and visible breakups. Over the years, his love life has been marked by high-profile relationships, especially his long-standing connection with singer Ashanti. Their romance, which began in the early 2000s, played out like a soap opera. Passionate, inconsistent, full of stops and starts. They were the couple who could never seem to stay away from each other for too long, yet could never quite make it stick either. For over a decade, their relationship oscillated between breakups and rekindlings, keeping fans both hopeful and exhausted. There were public appearances, cryptic Instagram posts, silent spells, and rumors that never seemed to die down. And then, in 2023, came the shocker. Nelly and Ashanti officially reunited. After years of ambiguity, they made their relationship public again, and this time, they weren't just dating. In what felt like a full-circle moment, the couple tied the knot that same year, surprising fans who had followed their saga for years. What's more, in July 2024, Ashanti gave birth to their first child together, a beautiful, life-altering milestone that seemed to symbolize the start of a new chapter. To the public eye, it looked like the tumultuous pair had finally figured it out. The storm had passed, the past had been forgiven, and a new family was born. Photos from that period painted a picture of serenity. There were sweet captions, coordinated outfits, glimpses into domestic bliss. Ashanti glowed with maternal warmth, while Nelly looked proud and grounded. For many fans, it felt like witnessing a story of redemption, 2 people who had weathered every trial finally getting their happy ending. But as time wore on, cracks began to show. What started as a hopeful reunion began revealing underlying tensions that never really disappeared. Nelly's behavior came under scrutiny, again his tone, his actions, his apparent lack of emotional presence. And once again, people began whispering about his maturity, his commitment, and whether he was truly ready for the life he now had. This is where the parallel between Ashanti and Kelly becomes all the more striking. While Ashanti was facing postpartum recovery, relationship strain, and the exhausting emotional labor of new motherhood, Kelly was sharing curated moments of joy, gratitude, and peace. It wasn't just coincidence, it was contrast. 2 women with different outcomes from relationships with the same man. One appeared to be carrying the emotional and physical load alone, while the other seemed to be enjoying a love that was reciprocated and steady. In many ways, the public couldn't help but compare. And through that lens, Kelly's previous silence about her history with Nelly took on a new significance. If she had ever felt overlooked, replaced, or misunderstood back in the day, now she had her quiet vindication. She didn't need to say it out loud, the timeline said it for her. So as the spotlight continues to shine on Nelly and Ashanti's relationship, warts and all, fans are beginning to reevaluate the past. Not just the romantic rumors, but the emotional truth behind them. The contrast between Kelly's past and present offers more than gossip. It tells a story about choice, timing, and growth. And for those paying attention, it shows that sometimes the best clapback is the one that's lived, not posted. But perfection has a short shelf life in the public eye. Allegations of Nelly being an unreliable partner resurfaced, and the cracks in their fairy tale reunion quickly became apparent. Amid the chaos, Kelly's carefully curated posts began to feel less like nostalgia and more like commentary. And here's where everything circles back. For those who've followed this saga for years, Kelly's recent behavior feels less like coincidence and more like a carefully timed response, possibly rooted in long-held resentment. Whether it's an old grudge from her rumored connection with Nelly, or a clash of egos with Ashanti, something deeper seems to be playing out. And while fans may never get the full behind-the-scenes story, one thing is clear: Kelly Rowland is no longer playing nice. Things took a dramatic turn when fans noticed something telling. Dilemma, one of Nelly's biggest career-defining hits, wasn't cleared for his live performance. And here's the kicker: many believe it was Kelly Rowland who shut it down. This wasn't just any track. Dilemma is a Grammy-winning anthem still spinning on radios more than 20 years later. So when word got out that Kelly had allegedly refused to approve it, fans started reading between the lines. Was it business? Or was it deeply personal? Given Nelly's public political stance, some even label him a MAGA sympathizer. Some speculated that could have played a role, but for others, this move felt rooted in long-standing emotion. For years, there have been quiet rumors that Kelly and Nelly once shared more than just music, and that Ashanti might have been the wedge that ended whatever they had. So, when Kelly shared a carefully timed post about her solid marriage just as Ashanti's relationship hit turbulence again, it didn't feel like coincidence. It felt like closure with a side of shade. If Ashanti was part of the reason things ended between Kelly and Nelly back in the day, then Kelly's recent silence wasn't just petty, it was poetic. With Nelly and Ashanti already navigating rocky waters, Kelly didn't need to say much. The situation itself was doing the talking. And that recent reality show appearance, it only confirmed what many had feared: the relationship wasn't nearly as solid as it seemed. Instead of presenting the image of a united, loving couple standing shoulder to shoulder through the challenges of new parenthood and public life, the reality show exposed a far more uncomfortable truth. Ashanti and Nelly were fundamentally out of sync. The disconnect wasn't just emotional, it was structural, embedded in how they viewed their roles, responsibilities, and each other. From the very beginning of the series, Nelly's demeanor came across as distant, often bordering on dismissive. While Ashanti tried to lean into their relationship with vulnerability and openness, he appeared increasingly detached, almost like a man going through the motions rather than a present partner actively investing in his marriage and family. One of the most telling moments came during preparations for Nelly's performance at the presidential inauguration, a massive opportunity that could have served as a shared milestone for their growing family. But what could have been a moment of pride and partnership quickly turned into an emotional rift. Ashanti, who had just given birth and was adjusting to the demands of new motherhood, looked visibly overwhelmed. She tried to express her anxiety and discomfort about the event, about how unsupported she felt in the lead-up. But instead of meeting her halfway or acknowledging her concerns, Nelly completely brushed her off. There was no conversation, no attempt to understand, just a shrug and a cold shoulder. It was a moment that should have brought them closer, but instead underscored how far apart they truly were. And unfortunately, that wasn't a one-off. The deeper the show went, the clearer it became that Nelly's perception of fatherhood partnership was shockingly outdated. In one jaw-dropping exchange, he told the cameras that unless their newborn son could verbalize his needs, he didn't see the point in waking up at night or helping out. He said it matter-of-factly, with no trace of irony or guilt. It was a statement that stopped viewers in their tracks. Ashanti, still navigating postpartum recovery and all the emotional weight that comes with it, was left to carry the full load physically, emotionally, and mentally, while Nelly essentially opted out, continuing to tour, promote, and live as if his day-to-day life hadn't changed at all. In another especially raw and revealing scene, Ashanti admitted softly, almost as if ashamed to say it out loud, that Nelly hadn't gotten up a single time for a nighttime feeding or diaper change, not once. And it wasn't just the confession that stung. It was what followed. Instead of showing any sign of remorse, Nelly smiled and actually boasted about being a great sleeper, saying it like it was a badge of honor. There was no moment of realization, no offer to do better, not even a flicker of recognition that his partner was clearly worn out and emotionally strained for viewers. That moment crystallized something deeper. Nelly didn't just fail to support Ashanti, he seemed completely unaware of how much he was letting her down. And for Ashanti, it wasn't just about a missed diaper or sleepless night, it was about the absence of partnership when she needed it most. The silence in those scenes said more than any argument ever could. The kicker: he didn't see an issue with any of it. In his mind, caring for the baby was her job, period. This wasn't just about differing opinions on parenting. This felt like a glimpse into a deeper imbalance in their marriage, one where support, empathy, and partnership weren't part of the equation. So when fans ask if Nelly was ever truly ready for fatherhood or if he simply wanted the look of a picture-perfect family without the responsibility, that's not shade. That's a valid question. And just when the dust should have started to settle, rumors of infidelity picked up steam again. This time, insiders claim that while on tour, Nelly's been living like his single days never ended. New groupies, familiar patterns, different city, same story. According to those close to the situation, this behavior isn't new. Reports say that after nearly every show, he's got women waiting backstage. And if you know anything about tour life, it's not hard to imagine what those late nights really look like: wild parties, drinking, and questionable decisions. Ashanti, understandably, was skeptical the moment Nelly mentioned going back on tour, and while she kept things diplomatic in front of the cameras, those who know her say the deeper issue wasn't just loneliness, it was trust. Because Ashanti knows Nelly. She knows how he moves. Now, what once looked like a dream comeback story, a rekindled romance, a new baby, a fresh chapter has started to fall apart in real time, and with each clip, each rumor, each offhand comment, it's becoming harder to believe the fairy tale. Which brings us back to Kelly. Fans are now viewing her subtle shade through a different lens. Maybe she wasn't just being petty. Maybe she was watching Ashanti live out a chapter that could have easily been hers, and realizing she dodged a bullet. And those pointed posts about her husband, they're reading less like boastful flexes and more like a warning. This is what it looks like when a man actually shows up. So, is Kelly's silence really shade? Or is it closure dressed in class? Maybe a little bit of both. Either way, the internet has spoken. Ashanti's so-called happily ever after is unraveling fast. And the very man she fought for, the one who once sang her praises, is now the one draining her energy and testing her limits. Kelly Rowland, from the sidelines, might just be having the last and loudest